Welcome everybody to tonight's race number 4 for the Juicebox Racing League Season 2 here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the On the Strip 115 here tonight with the Xfinity cars. An interesting race here tonight for everybody as obviously we're racing here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Not too crazy on the track conditions, not too much wind. Obviously not crazy on the temperatures, but the key part of this race, for the first time this season, we've been racing a lot of times here at night. As you can obviously tell, it's pretty dark out right now in the simulation, but as you notice, there's still a little glimmer of light. That's because we're racing extremely early in the morning for this race. For the first time this season, it'll be a dark to light kind of conditions here, so it's going to get hotter as the race goes on. Guys will have to adjust throughout the race for that, and it'll be definitely interesting to keep an eye on for sure as everybody's starting to grid up and get ready for the race here tonight. Let's go ahead and see if we can take a look at the starting lineup here for tonight's race. A lot of familiar faces towards the front to start off this race here tonight. Hank Steinmiller gets yet another pole this season. I believe he's already had a pole this season. If that is not the case, this is his first this is not his first, his second pole. This is his first pole of the season. He starts off on the pole. A rough start to the broadcast here, ladies and gentlemen. Seth Harlson starts off P2 alongside Logan Monteith P3. Matthew Leedy P4. A great start for him here in tonight's race. Brett Stevens starts off P5. As Colton, last week's winner at Eldora, starts off P6. Cooper Johnson starts off P7 there. And that 14 car alongside James Goshen in P8. Jason Houndshell alongside Drew Cox for P9. And rounding out the top 10 is Drew Cox, as I mentioned. Randy Koking starts off P11, and on down the lineup we have Kyle Power starting P12. David Carpenter P13, Dade Grajewski in P14, Alex Cox in that 94 P15, Jacob Sadowski in the 21 this week P16, Sean Hayes in that 18 car P17, Robert Gast in the 87 P18, John Whitendorf, who chose not to take a time here in this race here tonight, he starts off P19. Josh Silva also did not take a time, P20, and Nick Seraph starts off in the last place spot. He did also not take a time. So this should be an extremely interesting race, as I mentioned before, from nighttime to daytime here for this one, so it should be an extra special race here tonight. The pace car will make the hard left-hand turn this time. Hank Steinmiller will lead the group to the green, as we are green here for race number 4 in Las Vegas. Off of 4, a clean start here as Hank Steinmiller leads lap 1. And that nice looking purple car there. Seth Harlson being followed by Matthew Leedy into 1 and 2. Oh, a little touch there. As Seth Harlson gets pretty loose off the contact from Matthew Leedy in that 5. Colton looking really good on that top side in that 1 car there. Is probably feeling pretty confident after last week's win at Eldora, getting his first win of the season. Matthew Leedy, somebody who we haven't seen, I believe, since Daytona earlier this season. He has himself a great start here on the race. Oh, Seth Harlson's in the wall and into the 14 car. They're spinning across the backstretch. Into the wall hard for both guys. And no caution is out. Extremely disappointed for both of these guys there. The 14 car, just an innocent bystander there as the 07. It looked like he got possibly squeezed up into the wall there. He has no hood and no back end now, that 07 does. What a disappointing start here. So now both of those guys are going to have to pray for a caution. What a terrible start for both of these guys. I mean, they seemed like they were having a great run to start the race for the first couple laps. And now extremely heavy contact for both guys. Now they're obviously going to be pretty off the pace. So now those guys are going to have to hope for a caution for the rest of this race. Is back to the front. Hank Steinmiller still leading right now. Extremely surprised that did not bring out a caution. I mean, both those guys facing the wrong way. I mean, how last week the littlest of spins brought out cautions at Eldora. No caution there. So as we come around to complete lap 5, as I mentioned, Hank Steinmiller still leading. Now Matthew Leedy P3. He's having himself a great start to this race. Logan Monteith, last week's runner-up at Eldora. Looking to get a little bit of redemption for last week's shortcomings. I mean, he dominated most of the race alongside Colton. Those two guys were 1-2 for the entire race. Logan still peaking for that first win of the season. It's Brett Stevens, somebody who did not have a very good Eldora weekend last week. He's looking to rebound this week and hopefully have a better run in the Xfinity car. Something he's obviously a bit more used to, being back here on asphalt. I think a lot of these guys are glad to be back on asphalt after all the carnage from last week. I mean, there was caution after caution after caution. It was insanity from the green flag to the checkered flag. There's James Goshen. He's gotten himself a great start to the race. He's running P6 right now. Jason Houndshell, who had a pretty decent run last week at Eldora, he's running P7 right now. There's Drew Cox, somebody who a couple weeks ago had a great run at Kentucky in the ARCA cars. Fortunately, did not make the race last week for Eldora, but he's back this week in that 98 car. Looking to have a great race tonight. Randy Koking has himself a great start to the race as well. He's running P9. There's John Whitendorf, who started towards the back of the pack here. Did not make a qualifying time. He's already up to P10. So a great start for him. Dave Carpenter, who's just outside the top 10 right now in that 71 car. I mean, I really look at how good that 71 car looks. I love the colors. I believe he's got some chrome numbers there. He's running P11. There's Sean Hayes. Well, it says 69 on the side of his car there. He is number 18 on the ticker. He's running P12 right now at the moment. Haven't seen too much of Sean Hayes this season. Don't believe he's made the last 2 races, but he's back this week, so it's good to see Sean Hayes back. Back here in the 21, there's Jacob Sadowski, I believe, alongside the 523 of Nick Seraph. Both those guys racing for P13, P14 is now Kyle Power, our Daytona winner from earlier this year. He powers by that 523. There's that 94 of Alex Cox. Take a look and see who this is here in that yellow car. Can't quite tell the number. There's the 87 of Robert Gast. A little bit of a slow start there for the Apex Sim Racing car. There's Josh Silva, and that's stacker number 3. Looks like Dade Grajewski has also hit pit road here. He's now 7 laps down. He's actually off the track right now, so see if he'll be able to rejoin the pack here in a little bit, or if he might be done for the day. Everyone's still pretty strung out right now. I believe Logan was able to make a pass or stay ahead of Brett. He started to space out ahead of Brett here. He's going to try and chase down his sim helper teammate, Matthew Leedy, for that 3rd spot. And it'll be interesting to see what kind of line works by the end of this race. As we've kind of seen already, Colton here is running that top line. See if he runs the top line through 1 and 2 as well. And he does. So Colton seems to be committed to that top line, but as you can see behind him, Matthew Leedy and Logan, both of those guys running right there towards that yellow or that white line. And then we even see another line, Brett running towards kind of that middle portion of the track here. He's not running on the bottom, he's not running on the top, he's running that exact middle line around the track. So Be interesting to see which line prevails by the end of this thing. Back to the front, here's Hank Steinmiller. See which line he runs. He chooses to run the middle line as well. Kind of diamonds it down onto that white line. Pretty quiet right now throughout the field. Not too much going on at the moment. Here we might have a battle for fourth between Logan Monteith and Brett Stevens. Brett seems to get that better run running higher up on the track here compared to Logan. He's able to get to him, it seems like, but just can't quite pass him yet. Another battle here between Drew Cox and Jason Hounshell. Both of those guys have advanced their positions pretty well. Hounshell now up to 6th. Drew Cox up to 7th. So look at Drew is now going to look to the inside on Jason, but Jason's going to have that run off the top. And as we're already kind of starting to notice here, we're seeing some comers and goers here. As we look back to the 33, he's one of those comers for sure. He's really making his way through the field. Almost contact there between James Goshen and Sean Hayes. Got a little bit of a group here. Look at Sean looking to the inside of that 33. That 33 really gets a run off the top side there. He'll really space himself out between him and Sean. As we mentioned earlier on the broadcast, John Weitendorf starting towards the back of the pack, not choosing to take a qualifying time. He's really making use of saving those tires right now and just slowly and methodically working his way through the field right now. Comes the 71 of Dave Carpenter back up into P10. One of those guys who's starting to lose spots here is James Goshen at the end of this run. Earlier on, he was P6, but has now dropped all the way back outside the top 10. Another one of those guys who's dropped outside the top 10 is this 19 of Randy Koking. Was running P9 earlier on, but now has fallen well outside the top 10 here. So I believe that's Jacob Sadowski who makes it by Randy there. There's Dade Grajewski. He's back out on track. Not sure if he had some internet issues, and that's why he had to take an extended amount of time on pit road, but he's now back out on track. He's plenty of laps down. I think he's close to around 10 laps down. We'll see. He's around 7 laps down, actually. There's Alex Cox in that 94. The 3 of Josh Silva alongside Kyle Power in that 77. There's Robert Gast, 523 and Nick Seraph. Here's Cooper Johnson. He's currently only 1 lap down, but obviously well off the pace here. And I mean, him and Seth Harlson are both just praying for cautions right now. And I'm not sure if they're going to get it for just how strung out everybody is. But that 14 has made his bed for sure, and now he's going to lie in it. Back up front, that gap between the leaders isn't too big right now. Colton's hanging strong, only about half a second back from Hank Steinmiller in the lead. Hank has led all 22 laps now, coming around to complete lap 23. He's keeping that lead between him and Colton pretty steady right now. Matthew Leedy still running P3. Brett Stevens was able to make it around Logan Monteith there for P4. Drew Cox in that 98 able to make it past the 00 of Jason Houndshill. That was for P6. Looks like he's closing in on Logan and Brett here to try and gain a couple more spots. John Weitendorf still under fire from Sean Hayes there in that 69. As Sean Hayes goes on by here. And there's Seth Harrelson, the other driver who was involved in that lap 4 crash. Obviously running faster than that 14 car, but not much faster. He's still one lap down. He is currently in the lucky dog position right now. So if there were to be a caution, he would be in the perfect spot. He'd be able to come down, get his fast repair, be able to save himself from really being out of this race. As you see Nick Seraph here, he hits pit road at lap 25. There's Dade Grajewski going by James Goshen. James Goshen currently sits P11. Look at back up here. Colton's starting to catch Hank Steinmiller in that top side now. I mean, that top side, you get such a run off the top, but there's such a chance of you possibly... It's so much more of a fine line where you're trying really hard not to make a mistake, as you saw the 14 hit pit road. He finally chose to come down pit road. I mean, well too late for how much damage he had. So he's going to go multiple laps down here, but he's going to try and gain back as much as he can on newer tires. I believe Nick Seraph came down pit road here again. Not sure why he had to come down pit road. He may have had a speeding penalty or some sort of issue of sorts. Here's Logan in that 99 under fire from the 98. Be interesting to see if Drew can get that run on that 99, what line the 99 chooses to run. Both of those guys are on the bottom this time. And obviously, if you're going to try and make a pass on the 99 here, you can't just follow in his footsteps and keep running the same line he is. You have to try something different to try and get around him, whether you're running the top side or the bottom side. So this time, they both run the middle. I don't know how much of this recipe for success that this 98 is having here, following the 99 basically in every line he's running. Back up front, though, this one car has caught Hank Steinmiller in that 63. He is running his bumper now. He's really making that outside line work tremendously. I mean, he is there. Oh, man, almost hit the wall. Hank this time blocks that outside line. Hank dives back down to the bottom. Colton committed to that outside line, though. I don't think he's strayed from it since the start of this race. I mean, it's working for him so far. I mean, he lost a little bit of time to that 63 that last lap, but he has progressively caught up to Hank here as these laps have wound down in this run. See if we're going to see a battle for the lead here. Colton goes back up high. Hank this time goes low. Colton should have a pretty big run off the corner here. He will, but it looks like there's just too much distance between the two here for him to have a shot. Hank really holding off that one car extremely well, running that bottom line. Now he goes back up to the top to block him again here. Hank goes back down to the bottom through 3 and 4. Colton still running that top side. Looks like Hank's able to get a really good run on the bottom side through 3 and 4 compared to Colton on the top side. But 1 and 2 is where Colton really gains a lot on Hank here. Back behind him, a lot of shaking up here. Matthew Leedy dropping back multiple spots. He was just running P3 a second ago. As Randy Koking here, you see, hits pit road. Now Brett Stevens has made his way into P3. Drew was able to get by Logan and Matthew. He runs P4. Looks like Drew might be looking for P3 here on Brett Stevens. Saw some guys coming off pit road. There's Kyle Power. Not sure if he was coming off pit road or if he had some issues and he's slowing the track. There's Jason Houndshow. How about this run by Sean Hayes here? Still holding strong in P8. He's progressively starting to gain some spots here as well. There's that 14 of Cooper Johnson. Came down and got his faster pair and newer tires, so he's obviously going to be a lot faster than all these guys here. He's going to peek to the outside of Sean. Got by John pretty quickly. Drew Cox able to clear and get past Brett Stevens. That's for P3. So Drew might be the guy who's on the run here and see if he can possibly knock down that about second and a half lead that Hank Steinmiller and Colton in that one car has on him. And we may have had a pass for the lead here possibly. Colton to the inside of Hank Steinmiller that time. Hank able to get the run on the top side though, and he still holds strong P1. Colton goes back to the top there through 3 and 4. Oh, he's still got a pretty decent run off the top there. And he got a huge run off the top there that time. Then again, Hank blocks that top side on Colton. What a battle for the lead here we have between the 1 and the 63 as here comes the 14. He's going to go to the bottom. He's obviously on newer tires. So he's just going to go on by the 63 and the 1 car. And he'll at least get one of his laps back. Take a quick look here. Battle for P7 between Sean Hayes and Matthew Leedy. Matthew, as these laps have kind of wound down, he's starting to really lose some spots here right at the end of this run. So now he's under fire for P7. It looks like Sean might have a run here on the bottom. And he will clear Matthew coming off 4. And this will also bring John Weitendorf into the picture to make a pass. John completes this pass here. He'll knock down Matthew to P9. Still not quite clear of him yet. Matthew still has that run on the top side. John runs the bottom this time. He should be able to get the run off the bottom here, and he will clear Matthew Leedy for P9. Slow car up top. That's Robert Gass in that 87. And look at this. Drew Cox has caught our leaders here on that 98. What a run for Drew here at the end of this run. See if this tire is so well compared to the rest of these guys. He's coming on strong here, now 40 laps into this run as he's going to look to make a pass for P2 on Colton. And Colton's had multiple shots to try and catch that 63, but has caught him for sure, but obviously hasn't been able to make the pass yet. We'll see if Colton can get the run off the top here compared to Drew, or if Drew will clear him and drive away. And he will clear him and drive away. Colton may have made a mistake on that last corner here, as now Logan is peeking to the inside of that 1 car for 3rd now. On that 63 makes the hard left-hand turn for pit road now. Colton comes down. Brett Stevens. Logan Monteith is now down pit road as well, so this will give the lead to Drew. Honestly, a pretty smart move by that 63. Understanding that 98 was coming fast on better tires. Saved his tires a lot better, so 63 comes down to pit road. Here's the 99. We'll get to see who makes that first shot and beats the others off pit road. This is an extremely important stop for all these guys. 63 gets the launch there. The one car with a great launch as well. He beats the 99 off pit road. That 63 had a great pit stop. He's going to really space himself now out compared to the one car. So we'll get to see how that cycles through. Back to the lead with the 98 now of Drew Cox. P2 is now under fire with John Whitendorf and Sean Hayes. There's Jason Hounshow waiting in the wings in P4. Sean trying to clear John Whitendorf. John will get that run off the top side. And he should clear Sean by the time they get to 3 and 4. And he does. He shuts the door on Sean. And here comes Jason on that high side as Sean is now coming to pit road. And Drew Cox, our leader, has also hit pit road as well. There's that 98. Didn't wait too long. Didn't want Hank Steinmiller to have too much of an advantage on those fresher tires. So comes down a couple laps later. He gets his bonus points for leading some laps. And now he comes down pit road, as well as Sean Hayes. So now our new leader is John Whitendorf in the 33. It'll be interesting to see how long he chooses to stay out on tires here. Because that tire advantage. Now the interesting thing about this is we got about 115 laps in this race. If we go green flag the entire way, it'll be interesting to see if John Whitendorf can stretch this to where he only has to make one stop on fuel compared to the guys who came down earlier. Because the guys who came down earlier, they can't make it on fuel now. So here comes Hank Steinmiller in that 63. He gets by the 00 pretty quickly. See how fast it takes him to catch the 33 of John Whitendorf. But that's going to be extremely key here as these guys, and I believe Drew, he's back on pit road. I think he unfortunately sped. Pit road penalty for the 98. This will most likely take him out of running for the race here. And will put him multiple laps down. Very disappointing for that 98. He was having such a run. But as I was mentioning earlier, I mean, these guys came down around lap 45, 44. Oh, there's a caution on the track. And this makes things extremely interesting. May involve the 523. Let's go back and see exactly what happened here. What caused this caution? So we're now on board with the 523 of Nick Seraph. And the Bass Pro Shops Cabela's car. Goes through 3 and 4 here. Gets one hell of a run on the 94. Just catches him, I think, a lot quicker than he thought. Just gets into the back. That's Alex Cox in that 94 there. So Alex immediately turns down. He may come down pit road, but this should save Drew Cox a lot here compared to how much time he would have lost. This will be an interesting point of view. Let's go on board with Seth Harlson. He's still got a lot of damage on his car from that lap 4 crash that he hasn't repaired yet. He'll get an opportunity to repair that now. Just see, comes up the track, bumps him in that back end. We saw a lot of that last week at Eldora. And it's so easy. I mean, it's just the little slightest of taps and guys can lose it extremely quick. One more time from Alex Cox's point of view. Man, he's got that wheel cranked to the left. Just can't get it turned and gets ran into the back of, and not much you can really do about that 94. So now as we are under caution, it'll now bring down everybody else who has yet to pit. 33. The 00 will now come down to pit road. It'll also bring down Matthew Leedy in the 5. The 71 of Dave Carpenter has yet to pit. He'll come down pit road this time. There's James Goshen. He has yet to pit as well. There's Randy Koking in the 19. I believe he already did pit, but he'll come down for tires again. There's that 77 of Kyle Power. This will also bring down Hank Steinmiller. This is an extremely interesting choice to come down pit road this time. He may be the lucky dog, and that is why he's choosing to come down pit road. So there's Matthew Leedy. He makes his way off of pit road now. And there's Hank Steinmiller. So he may have been the lucky dog, and that is why he chose to come down pit road. So now all these guys here ahead of the 00 in the 33. So look at this. Jason Hounshell now beat John Whitendorf off of pit road. He should be our new leader here at Las Vegas. What a pit stop for that 00 team. Hounshell Racing may need to give a raise to those boys on pit road. Getting that 00 to the lead. So as the other lap down cars choose to come down pit road here this time, we're going to take a short break here, and we'll be right back with some more green flag action. Welcome back, everybody, to Las Vegas Motor Speedway here for the On the Strip 115 for Juicebox Racing League race number 4 of the season. Quick caution after Nick Serif made contact with Alex Cox in turn 4. Shakes everything up for everybody, now giving us a brand new leader in that 00 car for Jason Hounshell after he beat John Whitendorf out pit road. This will now bring Dave Carpenter to P3. You see James Goshen in that 85 P4. Now the pace car will actually come off of come onto pit road next time by. Let's go ahead and see if we can run through the field here really quickly here and take a look at some of these guys. Jason Hounshell having himself a great run here. He is now our new leader. John Whitendorf, who did not take a qualifying time earlier on to start the race, he made his way all the way through the field. He got to lead some laps before that caution came out. Dave Carpenter, who had a great Daytona 125 early on in the season, now sitting pretty in P3. James Goshen, who we saw having a pretty good run in the early part of that last green flag run and then dropped out of the top 10 by the end of it. Let's see if he can save his tires a little bit better on this run. Same thing with Matthew Leedy. He was running up towards the front for most of that last run, but now he sits P5, I believe. Look at all this. Look at this giant line here. These are all guys getting their laps down. You see Drew Cox there, Jacob Sadowski, Cooper Johnson. There's Kyle Power, Randy Koking. We saw Colton also back there, as well as Hank Steinmiller. Both of those guys were up front for most of this race here. As now the pace car should make the hard left-hand turn this time by giving the field to Jason Hounshell, as he'll bring us back under green here at Las Vegas. Great start for Jason Houndshell here as he comes around and leads that lap, completing lap number 53. As you can see in the ticker there, only the top 11 are on the lead lap right now. Seth Harlson is that first car a lap down, so if we do see another caution, he'll be extremely happy about that, as now he's fixed his car up and will hopefully be the lucky dog here. Side-by-side battle for P3. Matthew Leedy looking to the inside of that 71 to Dave Carpenter. Matthew trying to take advantage of these fresh tires here and gain as many spots as he can. Look at Seth Harlson there, in that 07. I mean, we talked about just a second ago how he's that first car lap down. He may not want to wait for that lucky dog. He may know and understand, hey, I got to get my lap back the hard way. That means I don't have to start from the back of the pack under that next restart, and I'll be starting right there with the leaders. The 07 made a pretty quick pass on the 71 to Dave Carpenter. Now Matthew Leedy looking to the inside of the 33 of John Whitendorf. He'll make that pass for P2. Seth Harlson still on that inside of John, so he can't make that crossover move back to the inside of the 5, and Seth Harlson will go on by that 33. Great run for Matthew Leedy here in that 5 car. He may be seeking a chance to lead some laps himself. Here comes Seth Harlson. I mean, I'm telling you, I think he's trying to get this lap back the hard way here. He is running these guys down. Gets by the 5 easily here through 1 and 2. Now I think he's got his sights set on Jason Houndshell, our leader in that 00. And this has to make you think it's so disappointing to be wrecked out in that 4th lap of the race. Caught a lap down, now just trying to piece yourself back into this thing to even have a chance. I mean, just imagine this. This 07 is going for the lead right now if he's not a lap down. That's how strong this car is. As he's to the inside of that 00, we'll see if the 00 lets him by or if he chooses to race him, and he looks like he lets him by, but still, that 07, what a strong run through all those guys. So now Seth Harlson officially is back on the lead lap, just ahead of our leaders here. Still a great run by that 07. Makes it that much more disappointing to be wrecked out in that 4th lap. A little bit farther back here, we have Sean Hayes looking to the inside of Dave Carpenter. That is for P4. Sean should clear Dave here, and he will look to try and drive away from him. Sean Hayes having himself a great race. Right behind Dave Carpenter now, sitting P6, is Logan Monteith in that 99. He's going to try his absolute best to gain some more spots back. There's Drew Cox. Now, Drew is also another one of those guys. He's actually officially the first car a lap down. So he, if there would be a caution to come out, he would actually get the lucky dog since Seth unlapped himself, passing the leaders there a moment ago. There's James Goshen in that 85. He currently runs P7. Brett Stevens, P8. Keep an eye on Brett Stevens here. He might make that run there towards the end of the run. We saw him gain a lot of spots, kind of like Drew Cox did at the end of that green flag run. He might be something to keep an eye on for the late stages of this green flag run. We saw that 21 there. That's Jacob Sadowski. There's the 1 car of Colton. And an interesting pit strategy here. Let's see if we can go find this. The 63 has came down pit road. Not sure if this is an unscheduled pit stop or if he's playing a strategy here and hoping that he should be able to make it to the end on fuel from here. But that 63, this is the 3rd time that he's came down pit road this time by. So a very interesting pit call here for him. As there goes the 00, a current leader, to put Hank Steinmiller a lap down. Comes Sean Hayes. P3 looking possibly for P2s. He's starting to run down Matthew Leedy here in that 5 car. So with Hank Steinmiller coming back down pit road, we are back to only 11 cars on the lead lap. Seth Harrelson is now the last car on the lead lap. Oh, Sean almost hit the wall there, coming off 2. But I mean, he is catching Matthew Leedy. We might have ourselves a new leader in Sean Hayes here if he continues this momentum forward. So our cars a lap down. We have Drew Cox, Josh Silva, Randy Koking, Alex Cox, Robert Gast, Hank Steinmiller, Cooper Johnson. All those guys are only 1 lap down. Now some of those guys are lap down just because of the way that the pit strategy worked out and how they came down pit road before the caution came out, and unfortunately got trapped a couple laps down. You see Nick Serif there, he's 2 laps down in P19. Kyle Power, also 2 laps down there in P20. P21 is Dave Grajewski. He had some problems and was on pit road for an extended period of time. He's 6 laps down. Let's go a little bit farther back here. Let's go take a look here. Brett Stevens trying to possibly make a pass here pretty shortly on James Goshen in that 85. There's Jacob Sadowski in that 21. I kind of brushed over him a little bit earlier, but I mean, he's having himself a pretty good run here. Right now running P9. Keeping his car clean. Got a decent distance between himself and Colton for P10. And also he's right on that bumper of Brett Stevens. If Brett makes one mistake, he's possibly getting himself another spot. Farther back here, here's Randy Koking and Josh Silva in that 3 and the 19. Both of those guys are a lap down, so they're still battling for position though. Bunch of good looking cars there, both the 3 and the 19. Everyone's still pretty spread out right now. There we see Dade Grajewski here. Trying to stay, I believe, out of the leader's way. He's now 8 laps down. He may have had to come back down pit road for some more issues here. There's Colton, somebody who's, I don't believe has officially led a lap yet. He was peeking at the lead earlier on in the race, but after the way that the pit strategy worked out, it put him way back in the pack, and now he's going to do all that work to get right back up through the field again. There's a battle here. This is for 7th. Brett Stevens looking to the inside of 85 of James Goshen. So Goshen now falls back behind Brett. So there's another spot for Brett Stevens. Up here, a possible battle between Drew Cox and John Whitendorf. This is for P5. Drew's got one hell of a run on John there going into 1. Another battle here between Sean Hayes and Dave Carpenter. This is for P3. Is now John Whitendorf and Drew Cox are starting to come into the picture here. So actually, mistakenly, I forgot that Drew Cox was a lap down. I thought he was battling for position with John for P5, but he is actually a lap down, so Sean Hayes still trying to get by Dave Carpenter, but now this is going to bring John Whitendorf into the picture. This is going to be a battle for 4th. You see Cooper Johnson coming off of pit road here. So Johnson is now, I believe, 3 laps down. As John edges out ahead of Sean Hayes for the moment. And Sean is going to come down pit road, actually. So he, I believe, is the first of the lead lap cars to hit pit road. He's going to try and get the advantage of coming in on fresher tires and see if he could possibly get the win here. Back up front, Seth Harrelson still has that lead over Jason Hounshell. So he still is on the lead lap, but Jason Hounshell is, in fact, our leader still. Having himself a great run right now. Got about a half a second, just over half a second lead on Matthew Leedy. And here's another guy having himself a great run here today. We saw Matthew Leedy towards the end of that first green flag run. He kind of started to really lose a lot of spots, dropped to the latter half of the top 10. But now here in this run, he's holding strong here, P2. He's really spaced himself out from the rest of the drivers. And now it would be interesting to see, we saw Sean Hayes come down pit road. We know these guys cannot make it on fuel to the end of this race. They have to come down one more time since everyone chose to come down and pit the last caution that came out. They have to pit one more time in order to make it to the end on fuel. And what is interesting is Sean Hayes pit pretty early here, and he should still be able to make it on fuel. But what will be most interesting to see is how much time he gains on all these leaders who choose to stay out. See Randy Koking there at the bottom of the ticker. He hits pit road. We see Cooper Johnson ahead of Drew Cox in that 14. 14's got even more damage on the back end of his car. Not sure what happened there. So we got more guys coming down now. Drew Cox comes down to pit road. Logan Monteith has chosen to come down pit road now. There's a couple more lap cars go by. Dave Carpenter here. John Whitendorf also hits pit road now. So now all these leaders are starting to come down pit road. Here comes Brett Stevens. I think Steinmiller may have came down pit road as well. Not sure why he would come down pit road. Trying to get a... Well, that was Brett Stevens, excuse me. Not Hank Steinmiller. That's on pit road. Jacob Sadowski now hits pit road. So we're starting to see these leaders coming down. And now what's interesting is that Jason Hounshell's still out on track. Still in laps. Matthew Leedy is still out on track. Dave Carpenter. Colton in that one car. James Goshen. All those guys, the top 5, have yet to pit. So I think they may be hoping for a caution again here to keep their track position. Be able to come down and have fresher tires than all these other guys who have ran multiple laps. Josh Silva comes up pit road, and there's contact there with the wall. It may have been Matthew Leedy who got up and into the wall. A couple more guys coming down pit road. Leedy lost a little bit of time there to Jason Hounshell. Now here comes this 14 car, Cooper Johnson. Seth Harrelson still holding strong, though. Still staying on that lead lap at the moment. As the 14 powers on by. See if this 14 can get on by the 07 as we see those lap cars coming off pit road. Oh, and Seth Harrelson takes the bottom, and the 14 goes to the bottom as well. This will help Jason with that draft off the lap cars in front of him. Now Dade on those newer tires. He looks to the inside. We saw these two have contact earlier. I believe, if I'm also not mistaken, that back end damage on the 14 may have been helped a little bit by that 07. Just a little bit. So the 14 will now drive away from the 07. As the 6 looks to the inside of the 00 of Jason Hounshell. And yet still, that top 5 are still out on track, having yet to pit. Also, Seth Harrelson is P6 at the moment. He also has yet to pit in quite a while since the caution. Dave Carpenter finally hits pit road. I believe he was P4 when he came down. But Jason Hounshell still on track. Whether he's trying to stretch it on fuel or hoping for a caution, man, he has been on track for a long time compared to these other guys. This Carpenter's starting to lose multiple spots here as he officially goes a lap down to Jason. Jason goes on by Nick Seraph here in that 523. Got some more lap cars coming behind Jason here. There's Kyle Power coming into picture. Still keeping an eye on this 00 here, waiting for him to make that hard left-hand turn on pit road. As we come around to complete lap 86, Colton in that one car finally came down pit road. He's a lap down now. He's going to lose a lot of time compared to these other guys who have already came down to pit. So, and still the top 5, actually, are guys who still have to make one more stop on fuel. Jason Hounshell, our leader in the 00. Matthew leading in the 5, you see, right behind Jason there. James Goshen in the 85. He still has to pit. James is well far back here in the pack. Here's the 85. He currently sits P3. He's 12 seconds behind the leaders. Seth Harrelson, who we saw was ahead of Jason on track. He's barely on the lead lap, but he still has to come down for fuel and tires. And Drew Cox is also one lap down in P5 there. He also has to come down to pit one more time if he's going to be able to make it to the end. Now James Goshen finally chooses to come down pit road and get some tires. There's the 523. He's making his way onto his pit road. Oh, he overshot it. He'll get back into his spot and he'll be okay. Let's get back up through the field here. Now, here's what's interesting. So Jacob Hayes was actually, or excuse me, not Jacob Hayes, Sean Hayes was actually able to make the pass on Drew. So now Sean Hayes is the first car lap down if there be a caution. Not only that, he's on fresher tires and he can make it to the end on fuel. You see him right there trying to get by Matthew Leedy in the 5. And he may, in fact, unlap himself as well. So him and Seth Harrelson may both barely be on the lead lap, but Seth obviously still has to make one more pit stop. So Sean Hayes pitting a lot earlier than all these other guys. It'll be interesting to see if all that time that he gained on track with those fresher tires is going to be enough to keep him out in front of all these other guys who are going to be on a little bit fresher tires who pit after him. And if Sean Hayes may have made the winning move of coming down a lot earlier than these other guys. It'll be interesting to watch for sure as Sean Hayes trying to piece his way by the 00. They're going to split it 3 wide. Jason goes up the track to keep himself clean of it. And Sean Hayes right into the back of the 6. Oh, no! What a terrible situation. Dave Grajewski slow on the backstretch. Not even sure why he was slow. But Sean Hayes pounded the back end of that car. And there's a bunch of damage on the front end of that 69 car. What a terrible situation for Sean Hayes there. So I believe that Sean, if there is a caution that comes out, we have 23 laps to go. Sean is still on the lead lap at this moment, and he hasn't lost too much time. But if I'm not mistaken, he still does have his fast repair. Now, I'm not sure how much damage he actually endured as far as slowing him down and losing horsepower, but it does seem like Jason is starting to catch back up to that 18 car now. Or at least he's keeping pace with him. What a terrible break. I mean, it really seemed like this Sean Hayes, number 18 car, was going to have a real shot to win this race. And you got to think, I mean, he hit him a ton there. What a terrible break for that 18 car. He still sits P4 at the moment. But somebody who is coming and coming fast is that 33 car, John Whitendorf. He currently sits 1 lap down. He is currently the lucky dog at the moment. As Sean Hayes is now barely in front of that 00. And Jason Hounshell may pass Sean Hayes back here in a moment. But John Whitendorf is coming. And coming fast. He's going to try and lap himself here as well. He's currently the, as I mentioned before, the first car lap down. So he is still currently the lucky dog right now if there would be a caution. That 33 peeking to the inside now of the 00. Jason Hounshell, 20 laps to go. He is still out on track and he's still our leader. But he still has to make one more pit stop here. I'm not sure how much longer he can go before he has to come down pit road. As John Whitendorf, and I mean, I feel so bad for Sean Hayes right now. What a run for that 18. And what's most disappointing, I think, is it's a lap down car. It's a car that, you wouldn't expect to really be in the way of not only the leaders, but in the way of somebody who's trying to get his lap back. And also in the situation that he was in, he would have been the leader. As of this moment, John Whitendorf, once the pit stop cycle through, is the leader of this race. And if Sean Hayes didn't run into the back of Dave there, you'd have to think that Sean would at least still at the moment have the lead. And you have to believe now, just because of how quickly the 99 is now getting by this 18 car, you have to think, as he's blinking a little bit there, but you have to think, man, you have to feel so bad. He's starting to really blink bad. Seems to be back now. But you feel so bad just because he had a shot to win this thing. I mean, he was in the driver's seat. He was in the catbird seat to win this thing if he just kept his car clean and continued to have the runs that he was having towards the end of the race. And oh, Sean Hayes is up into the wall now. Oh my Lord, what a terrible way to end this race for this 18 car. No caution as well since he keeps it straight. And he's just going to speed through pit road here and trying to get on. He's obviously extremely irritated. And I mean, I can't blame him, as he's going to go ahead and just tow the car back to pit lane. I mean, you cannot blame that 18 car for being extremely upset. The lap car takes you out of the contention to win the race. And then you get in the wall there again through 3 and 4. What a terrible way to end the race for Sean Hayes. But now we turn our attention back to the 33 and the 99. This is still technically the battle for the lead. Jason Houndshow is still our leader, but he still has to make one more pit stop, as we've got 15 to go here at Las Vegas. Seth Harrelson also has yet to make a pit stop, as now Seth will get passed by both John and Logan here coming off of 4. So that's for P3. So still the cars that have yet to pit so far. Drew Cox in that 98, I don't believe has made his final pit stop yet. Obviously, our leader, Jason Houndshow, has yet to pit, as well as Matthew Leedy, who's about 2.5 seconds and growing behind our leader. Leedy actually now just hit pit road. So Matthew Leedy finally chose to come down pit road this time by. So now we're down to Jason Houndshow, who has yet to pit, Seth Harrelson, who also has yet to pit, and I believe Drew Cox still has one more pit stop yet to make in P6. But right now, this is technically the battle for the lead, unless we do get a caution here. Both guys run that top side. And Seth Harrelson, even on those older tires, is hanging in with those guys in front. And that, again, makes you feel so bad for him, because then you have to think what could have been for that 07 car. I mean, he really could have had a possible shot to win this thing. You get taken out on that lap 4, and then there's no caution for you. Extremely disappointing for him. As there's a battle with 11 laps to go. Brewing for what will be the lead. That's technically for second place, though. Brett Stevens now officially unlaps himself in that 86. He's now back in the lead lap in P5. A little bit farther back here, there's Colton, who gets by Drew, and Drew really hits hard in the apron. You have to think he's hitting pit road this time. Seth Harrelson hits pit road. And now Jason Houndshow. All those guys who stayed out as long as they could, the last 3 guys, have to come down and get tires and fuel here for the last 10 laps. A great run for Jason, though. He'll get a ton of points there for leading all those laps. It was a strategy play that he tried and unfortunately did not succeed. There's Seth Harrelson also on pit road, and as we mentioned, here comes John Whitendorf to officially take the lead back from Jason Houndshow. What a run by this 33. Remember, we mentioned he didn't even make a qualifying lap. He was able to piece his way all the way through the field, and here comes Logan, though. This is not a for sure win for John Whitendorf, as it's 99. We talked about the 99 last week. He dominated most of Eldora on the dirt track with the Truck Series. As Logan dives it to the bottom here, he's going to try and clear him, but can't quite do it yet. Logan dominated most of that race, and then it came down to one last couple lap pass by Colton on him to secure the victory. Logan has been close here in the Juicebox Racing League Series to wins so many times. And what did we say a couple of weeks ago? Logan's got to get better on those long runs. Those long runs are eating him up here on the asphalt tracks. And guess what? Logan is at the end of this run. He's here to play, and he's trying to get by John Whitendorf here. And it's going to be difficult because, especially later on this run here, as John blocks the bottom, if John continues to run that top side, it's going to be so difficult to try and make a pass. You're going to have to really, and I mean really, dive it in there. Hope it sticks. And somehow, someway get a better run on John Whitendorf to try and get by him. Seth Harrelson comes back down pit road. I believe he had a pit road penalty, so that he'll have to serve. So he'll lose some more time here on track. But this is the battle for the lead. 7 laps to go for Logan Monteith and John Whitendorf. What a battle to finish this thing out. Two guys, two mainstays here in the Juicebox Racing League Series. Two guys who are obviously running for the chase. Trying to get as many points as they can to set themselves up for the chase at the end of the year. And this is the 4th race of the season. After this, we hit the halfway point of the regular season here at Juicebox Racing League for Season 2. So obviously you want to set yourself up great for the second half of this regular season. Oh, here comes Logan. Diving to the inside. He's going to try it again with 5 to go. Can't quite get it. It's like he gets even with John and he can't quite edge him out. Couple of other interesting names farther back that have made their way through the field. Brett Stevens is up to P3. We talked about him having great runs at the end of the green flag runs and a great job saving his tires. He's up to P3. Colton had himself a great run here. He's back up to P4. Jacob Sadowski. What a run for him. And at P21, he's up to P5 ahead of Hank Steinmiller, who hit really early to try and gain a lot of time. He's back to P6. Jason Houndshell, even with how late he picked, he's still P7. John Carpenter, P8. James Goshen, what a run for him, P9. Matthew Leedy in P10. Lascar on the lead lap. This time by 3 laps to go for Logan Monteith and John Whitendorf. Logan's going to dive it in here yet again through 1 and 2. But it's so difficult because it kind of seems like John really likes running that top side through 1 and 2. He gets such a run off the corner. And then here he'll run the bottom through 3 and 4. So you can't really do the dive bomb here. And we saw earlier, it kind of seemed like the bottom side, when we saw the battle between Hank Steinmiller and Colton earlier on the race, it seemed like the bottom side really works through 3 and 4 better than the top side. But Logan is going to try it again with 2 to go. Same thing again. He just gets there. He just gets even with him. He cannot get the run off the corner like John does, having that advantage of the top side. But the problem is that Logan can't follow in his tracks and just follow him in there, and he's there. Oh, man. I thought he had a nose on John there through 3 and 4 as we come to the white flag. One more time around for Logan Monteith and John Whitendorf. Logan's going to take one last shot here to the bottom. He's a lot farther back than he was on previous times. John comes down the track now. Down the backstretch they go. What can Logan do to catch John now? Logan's going to run the bottom side again, but John's going to run that bottom side as well. Coming off of 4. What a run for John Whitendorf. From 19th to 1st, he's going to get the first win of the season here tonight at Las Vegas. What a run for the 33 car of John Whitendorf. Kept his car clean all night long. We mentioned earlier on. Didn't even make a qualifying time. Started P19. Started all the way back in the pack. No problem for him. He makes his way all the way through the field. And what a run for that 33 car. Let's see what kind of burnout he's got for us here in Las Vegas. As the celebratory demolition derby behind him and around him occurs, John Whitendorf burning it down here in Las Vegas. A great run for him in that 33 car. Great burnout he's given us here as well. A ton of smoke he's laying down there. A ton of rubber he's laying on the track. He's still going in that 33 car. What a run for him. I think he's got these Xfinity cars down pat. As he blows the engine here, what a run for him. All right, let's see if we can get this. See if we can take a look at our final results here as everyone continues to do demolition derbies here. So our final results here for Las Vegas on the strip 115. Congratulations to John Whitendorf getting himself the win here tonight. A great run for him. Logan Monteith, yet again, second race in a row where he's finished P2. Came so close so many times here in this race trying to get by John there. He had himself a great run there at the end of that run and just came up just a bit short. Brett Stevens, after missing having a pretty bad race last week, ends up rebounding great this week with the P3. Colton, after last week's run, follows it up with another great finish here tonight, P4, another top 5. Jacob Sadowski is, I believe, his best finish of the season so far, race number 4. A great run for him getting the top 5 here tonight. Hank Steinmiller in that 3. He's led a lot of that first half laps, but I think bad pit strategy call. I think he came down just a little bit too early compared to the rest of the guys there, and unfortunately just came up a bit short here tonight with a P6. Jason Hounshell tried that pit strategy of staying out, the total opposite of Hank Steinmiller. Stayed out as long as he possibly could until he about ran out of fuel, and unfortunately came home P7 out of it. Still a great run for him. Dave Carpenter comes home P8, a nice top 10 for him. James Goshen, who's kind of battling in and out of the top 5, top 10 area, and he comes home P9, so a great run for him. And Matthew Leedy, the other one of those guys who stayed out as long as he possibly could in that pit strategy. He's the last car on the lead lap in P10. P11 on, we have Randy Koking, who had himself a great finish, only a lap down in P11. Cooper Johnson, who had a lot of problems earlier on. He was involved in that lap 4 crash, who set him behind a ton there for basically the rest of the race, and he comes home P12. Robert Gass, P13. Alex Cox, who was involved in that one and only caution of the night, he comes home P14. Seth Harlson, who had the accident on lap 4 as well with the 14, coming off the wall into him, and then unfortunately he lost a bunch of laps there, and he was able to get his lap back and stay on the lead lap for a good part of that, but unfortunately was running out his fuel as far as he could as well, and he comes home P15. Josh Silva in that 3 comes on P16. Kyle Power in P17. Dade Grajewski in P18. He was having some issues, connection issues, I believe. So he comes home P18. The rest of the field is as follows. Nick Serif comes home P19, 10 laps down. He had some multiple issues throughout the race as well. Drew Cox comes home P20. Not sure exactly what happened to him, if he had a speeding penalty or if he had some type of issues. He comes home 12 laps down. And Sean Hayes, probably the biggest disappointing part of this race was seeing Sean Hayes running into the back of Dave Grajewski there as he was passing the leaders and trying to have himself a great finish. He was setting himself up to at least be contending for the win, and he ends up coming home 18 laps down in P21. Especially disappointing for him because it really seemed like he was going to have a shot to win this thing, but unfortunately just accident on the track really screwed him up, really slowed him down. I think it lost him some engine speed there, and man, that's such a killer. But to everybody who came in and tuned to this race here tonight for race number 4, I want to thank everybody for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the broadcast. We now head off into the second half of the regular season. It'll be extremely interesting to take a look at the point standings next week, heading into race number 5. It'll be one hell of a show for the rest of the next 4 races as we get closer and closer to the chase here for season 2 of the Juicebox Racing League. Congratulations to John Whitendorf on win number 1 of season 2, and thank you all for watching. We will see you guys next week.